In the year 536, across half the world, the sun went out, not for a day, not for a week, but for 18 months. It began like any other spring. In the lands that had once been Rome, the world was loud with life. Markets, harbors, the ordinary business of being alive. On a green hillside, a farmer worked his fields under a warm sun and thought of the harvest to come.
Crescit bene.
No one looking up that spring could have imagined what was already crossing the sky toward them. Then one morning, the sun rose wrong, dimmer, colder.
Sol,
A blue, sickly disk a man could stare straight at without blinking, and it did not brighten. In Constantinople, capital of the Eastern Empire, a historian named Procopius set down what he saw and struggled to believe his own words. He wrote, "The sun gave its light without brightness, like the moon, for the whole of that year, as if forever in eclipse, yet never clearing." The statesman Cassiodorus marveled at a sun turned blue, a moon robbed of its splendor, and seasons all jumbled into one. Day became a perpetual, ashen dusk. At noon, men lit lamps to find their way. Sailors, robbed of the horizon, drifted blind on a colorless sea. In Mesopotamia, the churchman John of Ephesus wrote that the sun was darkened, and its darkness lasted 18 months. Far to the north, the cold bit so deep it may have burned itself into legend. The Norse memory of Fimbulwinter, the endless winter said to come before the end of the world. From Ireland to China, the chroniclers agreed on one impossible thing. The light was leaving the world. And then came the thing that should have been impossible. In the heat of summer, it began to snow. Frost crept across the fields at midsummer. The young wheat blackened and bent. The grapes withered on the vine.
Deus nos punit.
The harvest that fed the world simply did not come. The birds fell silent, then fell from the sky. Cattle starved in barren pastures. The world seemed to hold its breath. Half a world away in China, the imperial annals recorded yellow dust raining down like snow, and frost in the 8th month that killed the crops. Across continents that had never heard of one another, the same dread took hold. The sky itself had turned against them. Granaries emptied. Prices soared. And as a second year dawned just as dark as the first, hunger turned to famine. Weakened by hunger, the world had no defense for what came next. In 541, at an Egyptian port, ships arrived carrying grain, and something else, hidden in the dark of their holds, plague. It moved along the trade routes faster than any rider into the heart of Constantinople, and began to kill on a scale the world had never recorded. At its height, the historians wrote, 10,000 died in the city each day, so many that the living could not bury the dead.
Kyrie eleison.
Those who survived burned their furniture for warmth and baked bread of ground bark and roots. They would remember it to the end of their days. The plague took, by some counts, a third of the empire's people. The Emperor Justinian himself fell ill, and Rome's last great revival began to die with the light. And still, the cold would not break. Tree rings from those years are thin and starved, the mark of a decade without a proper summer. Empires faltered, cities shrank, whole peoples set out in search of warmth and bread. The world that came after was not the world that had gone before. Historians would later give the year a single grim title, 536, the worst year in human history to be alive. And for nearly 15 centuries, no one knew why. What could darken the sun over the entire world? The answer was hidden where no chronicler thought to look, frozen, layer by layer, in the world's oldest ice. Deep in the glaciers of Greenland and the Alps, in the layer for the year 536, lies a thin, dark line, a band of volcanic ash. Far to the north, a colossal volcano had erupted. Its ash points to Iceland, hurling sulfur and dust miles into the sky, where the high winds wrapped it around the entire northern world. That veil dimmed the sun, chilled the earth, and set in motion the famine, the plague, and the fall, all from a single mountain on the far edge of the world. And then, in 540, it happened again. A second great eruption. The cold deepened, and the long shadow over humanity stretched on. We remember the wars and the kings of that age, but the force that nearly broke the ancient world left no army and no name, only a thin grey line in the ice and the memory of a sun that went out.